Well, good evening and God bless all you kind, wonderful people. Johnny B's been away a couple of days or more, and I'm glad to be back. I don't know if you're glad I'm back, but I'm glad to be back. And still got a couple of more wind songs in my quiver here. I got to get out, and this one I've been postponing because it's a tad long, but I love the song. It's an incredible song by Gordon Lightfoot, what he calls his best work. Gordon Lightfoot shares kind of a parallel history with John Denver. I talked to you about John Denver selling his song "Leaving on a Jet Plane" to Peter, Paul, and Mary, and their recording of that resulted in his breaking out into a solo career. Gordon Lightfoot tells a similar story. He gives Peter, Paul, and Mary the credit for launching his singer-songwriter solo career. And I'll give you just a taste of that song that they recorded in 1965, which he wrote the same year. In the early morning rain, and a dollar in my hand, and an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand. I'm a long, long ways from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go. Great song. But this song he wrote 10 years later, 1975, just 1 month after the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. His song, which I hope some of y'all remember, "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald," was written in December of 1975. The Edmund Fitzgerald sank in Lake Superior on November 10th, 1975. And a Newsweek article was published later that month on November 24th that inspired Gordon Lightfoot to write the song, which he calls his best work, partly because he was just intrigued by the story and the tragedy and being a sailor himself, but also because the Newsweek article misspelled Edmund of Edmund Fitzgerald by spelling it Edmond when it's actually spelled Edmund. If you're asking who Edmund Fitzgerald was, he was the president and CEO, I believe, of Northwestern Life Insurance Company. Northwestern invested heavily in minerals and iron ore and in the shipping of same, and they commissioned the building of the Edmund Fitzgerald and owned it for its 17 or more year career, setting records on Lake Superior, both crossing and tonnage and all kind of things. But the evening hours of November 10th came its doom, and the doom of all 29 aboard. The legend lives on from the Chippewa down of the big lick they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. The good ship and crew were a bone to be true when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and good captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms. They left fully loaded for Cleveland. And later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they were feeling? wind in the wires made a tattletale sound as a wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When the afternoon came, it was a freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck, singing, "Fellas, it's too rough to feed ya." At 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up, or they might have capsized, may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and names of the wives and the sons and the daughters. Lake Huron rose, Superior sings in the looms of her ice-watered mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her. And the iron boats go, as the mariners all know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit they prayed in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. Church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. Superior, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November come early. Did you figure out that was a wind song? Good evening and God bless you.